We've known each other since CU, when we were both getting our doctorate. In 2011, I started. Yeah. And I remember seeing you play and thinking, oh, she knows what she's doing.
Oh, what did I play?
Yeah. You played a work for the New Music Ensemble.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the quantum mechanics, maybe.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So then I thought, well, I need to write something for you. But then it worked out better that we wrote something together.
Right. And you took piano lessons from me.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So we had a better sense of, I think, how we work together as a team. And there was a lot of kinesthetic work that we did with you, with me as a pianist, that I think really informed then our work together on these preludes.
I remember asking you too, what things did you enjoy playing? What things did you find kind of troublesome to play? And then I wrote some things that were taking advantage of those and maybe then challenging you a little bit too.
Right. And I think it gave us a better sense when we were working on these pieces together that I would play through them and then tell you what felt good in my hand and worked, and then what didn't but could work, and what didn't and probably wouldn't.
It's never going to work.
Right. It's never going to work. There were a couple pieces in particular that felt so good, or certain parts of them felt so good. And so then I was able to say to you, this works so well in the hand. I think that concept is something that we need more of.
What else? I remember showing you some sketches of things, and you would say, well, this is a really cool idea, and then you'd play through other parts of the same movement, and you go, and having a pianist do that, outside of the brain of the composer is like, it's like looking in a mirror to what you already knew yourself as a writer, to say, I was unsure about this from the get-go, and you really are reinforcing that, so I'm going to go back and edit it, and then it makes it that much better for it, rather than just saying, oh, it has to be this way.
I remember, so we had worked together already so much before, but it was nervous. It's hard to trust oneself as a musician to know. And what I'm feeling is what I'm feeling right, or does my musical sense, does my artistic sense work? Not just for me, but with somebody else. How can I tell you, I don't think that this works? I mean, maybe it's me.
Your
and
gut.
so, right.
Yeah, it's trusting your gut and then letting somebody else know that.
Yes, and so it was so nice to be able to communicate with you about what was working and what wasn't working, and why it felt like it wasn't where it was working. We were like in your little tree house of a studio.
Yeah.
Working through these.
Yeah. And there's probably more music to come.
I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Great.
Can you talk more about... Sorry, I'm hearing myself speak in a huge echo. Can you talk more about, you said taking piano lessons. Nathan took piano lessons with you, and like your work kinesthetically with Nathan helped inform the pieces. Can you talk just a little bit more about that? Like where that came from and what you actually did, what actually informed the pieces, and yeah, just a little bit more on that.
Well, Nathan is already a good pianist. I mean, he can read beautifully, but he can play beautifully. I'm really jealous because your hands are giant. I mean, like I wish I had your hands.
I did put in some big intervals. We
You
shrank them down a
did,
little
you
bit for
did.
more,
And I have big hands for a woman, but still.
right,
But
for a
one of,
wider variety of pianists.
right, exactly. And some of the things that we worked on, I don't even remember, I guess, what your piano background is, except that you play well and you play mostly like a pianist, but there's some separation between, I think, pianists that have been solely classically trained and only as pianists and only in the classical tradition. And so when we would work together on the pieces, I didn't have much to teach you about reading the music or analyzing the score even to see what makes sense musically or artistically, but rather just kinesthetically, oh, your elbow is out or your wrist is in a weird place. But a lot of it was fingering, or just specific things that are, what is the word? Idiomatic to a classical pianist's hand, even if they're not classical figures like arpeggios or something like that, but where I might take something, where I could take two notes with a thumb and where I could not take two notes with a thumb. Or what would be a normal reach for a pianist and what would be not a normal reach. I think a lot of visual things on the score too.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about what stems should go up, what stems should go down, so what hand might grab them.
Right.
I think for some people who might, like my background may be in more pop sensibility or accompanying for people, you just grab whatever is,
Right, instead of
available
thinking
to your hand.
sort of gesturally, maybe more of an up and down motion or a cross, or what is the quickest way to get somewhere. I think there was a lot of that. We worked on, when you took lessons from me, we worked on Brahms. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I still love that piece.
Yeah, it's a really nice one. I should play it one of these days. Brahms and something else. But Brahms was great because it does, so much of it is in the hand and is in regular shapes and patterns, that then those ideas of the way that you're going to place your hand, the fingering that you're going to use, the way that you're going to move your hand, and even visually how it's laid on out on the page, I think helped a lot. We had a lot of, not issues, but discussion, for example, with October, which is unmeasured, and trying to find a way that would make the notes not seem measured, even though some of them were longer or shorter or came kind of in the middle of a trill.
And same with Libra, to the one that sounds like wind chimes. How to best convey the right speed of the notes when there's not a lot there.
Right.
Do you want just note heads? Do you want stems? Do you want a little figure or a gesture
Right,
first?
or should you just write in words, not too fast? What would make most sense? I think the wind chimes.
Wind chimes
You're
wins
like-
out.
Right. Right, if you've ever heard wind chimes, you know.
Rose, what's your favorite piece and why?
Oh, in this set?
Yeah.
Oh. I can't say one, but I'm going to say two.
Two favorite pieces.
Two favorite pieces. January. I think a part is the first one I learned. It's the first one you gave me. That was like really completed, even though we didn't do them all in order, but it feels good. It feels really good in the hands. And it makes sense to me, like musically, and it has so much of your voice in there, I think. But not in a voice that maybe I would regularly expect from you. I'm going to say three. Oh, that's bad now. Pisces. Pisces as well, because that is so clearly Nathan Hall. Like, that's really... And I feel like I get to be, like, sexy and jazzy there. Jazzy. Ooh. But I feel like I have much more freedom in that piece. Freedom and spaciousness, and it's so underwater. It gives such clear images to me. And you may be surprised, but Libra.
Oh.
Actually, the wind chimes is one of my very favorites. And I think it's that same, as a classical pianist, I feel so, it's scary sometimes to look at not chance scores, but non-traditional scores. And it's something that, when I look at that score, it makes so much sense musically. It opens that world of like, oh, I can just listen and it can sound beautiful, even though it's not totally designated what's going on.
I can do this.
Yeah, I can do this. I can make sense of new music really easily. What's your favorite? And are you surprised by my choices?
No, I love your choices.
Okay.
I love your choices. I love, well, all of them, but December.
Yeah,
I love December.
actually, yeah.
It just reminds me of snowfall for some reason, and it's a little bit sad and melancholic, but it's also a little bit cozy in a strange way. There's kind of like
The heartbeat section.
a little heartbeat in there.
Right.
So I'm very fond of that.